Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Powell Press. I am State Senator Bobby Powell Jr., representing Senate District 24 in Palm Beach County. And this is week 3 of the 2023 legislative session. Week 3 began on March 20th. Let's get into it. On Monday morning, I had the opportunity and pleasure of meeting with the Palm Beach County Girl Scout Troop 24307. The girls visited the Senate chamber for an educational and mock session tour. Also on Monday, I presented my legislation, Senate Bill 678, before the Senate Transportation Committee. The legislation, which deals with the use of government property for affordable housing, passed unanimously and is now ready for its final Senate committee, which is rules.
Excuse me, Bobby Powell. Thank you, Bobby.
Tuesday marked the annual FSU Day at the Capitol, a celebration of garnet and gold to mark the many accomplishments and contributions of the university and its graduates. Of course, FSU is one of my alma maters too. It's an institution where I earned my Master's of Science in Urban and Regional Planning. Although I am a Rattler as well, it was great to celebrate and don the colors of garnet and gold on FSU Day at the Capitol. I was honored to be a part of it. Week 3 was filled with many different visitors representing many different issues and causes. This week, I also met with the Association of Professional Firefighters, the Palm Beach County chapter. On Wednesday, I met with officials from the Moffitt Cancer Center, the Florida Land Council, and the Florida Bankers Association to discuss many of the issues that are upcoming during this legislative session. Now, I also saw the passage of my legislation, Senate Memorial 848, by Senate Rules Committee. The Senate Memorial is a memorial to the U.S. Congress proclaiming that people of Florida stand with the people of Iran and urging action in standing up for freedom. It follows the protest of millions of people worldwide after the murder of Mahsa Amini, who was a young woman accused by Iran's morality police of being indecent by not wearing her hijab correctly. It was said that her hijab showed a piece of her hair, and that was not the correct way to wear it, so she faced morality police and ultimately died in their custody. This memorial is the final committee stop in the Senate and is now in line for a vote by the full Senate on the Senate floor. I'm disappointed to report that much of this week was devoted to very, very controversial legislation. This legislation, which I worry will bring lasting damage to Florida's public education system and Floridians' safety, security, and rights. The first bill, HB1, will siphon more than $500 million away from the state of Florida and away from public schools and give it away to private, mostly religious schools in the form of what I call the private education welfare voucher system. Now, once that money leaves the state coffers or the state's hands, and unlike our public education system, there is no accountability, no transparency, and no way to follow where the money goes or what it buys. The taxpayers of Florida are being forced to hand over $500 million of their money to an unaccountable school system that gets to cherry pick its students and answers to no one. If we have this much money to give away with no strings attached, how can we justify paying highly trained and educated public school teachers only $47,000 a year? That salary barely cuts it in Palm Beach County. For several years now, Floridians have been asking for lawmakers and the governor to do something about skyrocketing property insurance rates. Well, we're doing something, just not what Floridians are asking for. The second bill is yet another giveaway to the insurance companies at Floridians' expense. Rates keep going up and up and up, and coverages keep going down, down, down. Senate Bill 236 will impact all lines of insurance, including auto and property, which is a priority of the governor. Senate Bill 236 is very anti-consumer and shields large businesses from liability stemming from their negligence. So, if your daughter was attacked at a place where other attacks have happened, yet nothing was done to improve the safety, guess what? This new law will hold the criminal responsible, and not the business that failed to put up proper safety precautions to protect its individuals and residents who are the clients of the business. This legislation uses CPTED principles, crime prevention through environmental design. There's no standard to provide what measures are absolutely necessary to keep residents or clients safe on a property. Over Democrats' objections, both bills passed along partisan lines, and now are heading to the governor, who is expected to sign them. Finally, on Thursday, Senate Bill 214, a bill that would restrict the use of identification of sales of guns and ammunition, passed in the Senate. It passed along party lines as well. This week, we also had a visit from Pastor Dames, Pastor Whiteley, and Pastor Tony Drayton of Faith in Florida to discuss issues including immigration, election reform, and constitutional carry, or open carry as it's been called, here in the state of Florida. They've been here to advocate against bad legislation and to let us know that they're here with us to fight against these negative pieces of legislation that will impact our communities. Looking ahead to next week, it will be the fourth week of the 2023 legislative session. More controversy is on the horizon. Senate Bill 256, legislation aimed at union busting, will be before the full Senate. This bill, to me, is an anti-freedom government overreach bill, and it's a firm rejection of the conservative principles that the governor claims that he supports. The Senate will convene on Wednesday to debate this piece of legislation and for a final vote. The legislative process, of course, is in full swing. To track legislative action throughout the 2023 legislative session, please visit floridasenate.gov, fill in the bill number in the search box, and scroll down to find the last action. Well, everyone, that's all for this week's edition of the Powell Press. I am State Senator Bobby Powell Jr., reminding you that a life of service is indeed a life that counts. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Twitter, as well as other forms of social media. We will keep you updated on the 2023 legislative session to make sure that you are armed, dangerous, and informed. Join us next week for week 4 of the 2023 legislative session. We'll see you next week.